This is the historical context of Kartilya ng Katipunan. Kartilya ng Katipunan is a handbook for prospective members laying out organizations, regulations, and beliefs. The Kartilya ng Katipunan was written on 1892 by Emilio Jacinto and later revised by Andres Bonifacio.
Emilio Jacinto was a Filipino general during the Philippine Revolution. He was one of the highest-ranking officers in the Philippine Revolution and was one of the highest-ranking officer of the Revolutionary Society, kataas-taasan, kagalang-galangan ng Katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan, or simply and more popularly called Katipunan.
Emilio Jacinto was one of the bravest men who fought for our independence, and he made a significant contribution to the history of the Philippines. Emilio Jacinto was born in the Philippines on December 15, 1875, in the town of Troza, Manila. He was the only child of Mariano Jacinto and Josefa Dizon, but his father died soon after he was born. Despite living in poverty and being an orphan, Emilio Jacinto was able to obtain an education. He completed his primary education in a private institution before enrolling in the Colegio de San Juan de Letran for secondary schooling. He went on the University of Santo Tomas to study law, where he developed a passion of reading and strengthened his Spanish skills. Unfortunately, when the Philippines Revolution erupted in 1896, he had to put his studies on hold. Next, Emilio Jacinto has three more names. The first is Pinkian, which means to strike. The second is Katipunan's brain, because of his intelligence. And the third and final one is Dimaslao. When he composed the Liwanag at Dilim, he used the pain Dimas Ilaw. Jacinto joined the Katipunan at the age of 18 in 1894 and became Katipunan Pinkian. And it was during this period that he acquired his nationalistic ideas, and Jacinto became a guiding light for the society members thanks to his enthusiasm and ideas. He also became a writer and editor of Katipunan's newspaper. He wrote both the Kartilya and the Katipuneros Daw. He was also the editor of the Katipunan's newspaper, Kalayaan. He was the author of several literary writings using the pen name Dimaslao. When he first joined the Katipunan, he worked as a secretary, fiscal officer, and editor before being appointed general by Bonifacio. He also worked as a supremacist advisor.
Emilio Jacinto continued the fight against the Spaniards after the death of Andres Bonifacio, but unfortunately, he was captured in Laguna. He was then released when he managed convincing the Spanish soldiers and provided them a military pass. He was hiding in Manila and planned to continue his law studies. However, it was discontinued when he went back to Laguna to fight against the Americans. He was established his headquarters in Mahalhay town, where he unfortunately captured malaria and died on April 6, 1899.
The Kartilya ng Katipunan is like to make a positive difference from Spanish era, the ruling of the Spaniards towards the Philippines. The Kartilya ng Katipunan was primarily created for the Katipuneros. These people are the members of the Katipunan. Katipunan means association or assembly. On how the Spaniards used them for their own improvement. Like before, regardless the age, they forced Filipinos to work on several jobs. Ages 15, 16 to 60 years old are forced on working heavy jobs like creating roads, churches, buildings. The main purpose for the Kartilya ng Katipunan was to push for independence from Spain's oppression towards Filipinos.
Let us now talk regarding what the text is about. Well, in the study of the Katipunan history, Jim Richardson said that the Kartilya is the best known of all Katipunan texts and that it is the only document of any length set in print by the Katipunan prior to August 1896 that is known to be still extant. The Kartilya was in fact printed in a small pamphlet. The term Kartilya was derived from the Spanish word Kartilya, which was the primer used for grade schools during the Spanish period. It also served as primary lessons for the members of the Katipunan. The Kartilya presents not only the teachings for the neophyte Katipunero but also the guiding principles of the society. It was not just a document for the Katipunan. Its importance today is predicated on the teachings that embodied the moral and nationalistic principles of a nation that fought for independence.
In order to attain harmony and convey an awareness on the gravity of what's to come, rules are enforced by the Katipunan. This is for the Tagalog to understand the principles of association so as not to be confounded and have regrets. Dakila and mahalaga are the words to describe the objective of the Katipunan as their goal is to unite all hearts and minds of all Tagalog, which is embodied by the principal rule. Tunay na pag-ibig sa bayang tinubuan at pagdadamayan ng isa't isa. In regards to this, regardless of the socioeconomic class or depth of knowledge of the Tagalogs carry, the Katipunan will treat them equally. Kamahalan at kalinisan are the noble virtues that ground the Katipunan. Thus all behaviors opposed to these virtues are frowned upon. Since actions are expected and values in the Katipunan, Tagalogs who misbehave and has ill motives cannot proceed no matter how skilled a communicator he may be. Thus, any Tagalog who wishes to join the Katipunan must have a clear resolution and a strong determination so as not to live in a displeasing life and in order for him to perform his duties wholeheartedly.
It was stated in the Kartilya ng Katipunan that its basis is how each member acts or its capability of doing something and not by its ability to communicate well. It's useless to have that ability when you can't even act appropriately. And being part of this organization comes a risk with it. So for those who act recklessly or opposes the organization would lead them to a punishment. And since there is a risk, you should be wholeheartedly and bravely face this risk and not just join the organization for the sake of financial or social benefit. Because eventually, you will just be a burden for the group and it might lead to tremendous risk. Being part of them comes with a lot of risk. And aside from this, they're also in need of their finance. That is why when a new member enters the group, he is responsible to pay at the right time. All members are aware of each payment and it wouldn't be spent without the consent of the majority. Again, entering the group, the organization, the Kilusan is not easy. It comes a lot of risk, so you have to be serious and brave enough to face this risk for the sake of the country and your love for it.
Bukod sa pagnanais na may patalsik ang mga pamumuno ng mga Espanyol, nais din nilang isulong ang isang magsikang paloob na magkaroon ng pagbabago ng pananaw at pagpapahalaga. Nakasaad ito sa Kartilya ng unang isinulat ni Andres Bonifacio, ngunit ito ay ibinago ni Emilio Jacinto. Ang Kartilya ang naging gabay ng mga Katipunero sa pagiging makabayan.
Kartilya ng Katipunan teachings are moral and intellectual foundations for guiding Katipuneros in expressing moralities essential for joining the secret society.